near future, since FW are going to be sticking around for the time being. So we do have both teams currently in their booths. Hopefully no technical delays unlike last time. There was a decent amount, but things are looking definitely a lot more online this time around. Online in a LAN setting, yes. But it looks like we should be about ready to pop into the matches. As far as the favorites for this matchup, Eye of the Tiger definitely have the ball in their court. I believe FW even lost to Eye of the Tiger in their qualifying match for the KDL early on in the bracket. So already that's going to be on FW's memory. And Eye of the Tiger, just overall, they have a more experienced and solid roster. The advantage for FW is Eye of the Tiger have much more games on them that can be studied. So if FW does their homework, there's a good chance that maybe they can pull out a pocket strategy to defeat Eye of the Tiger. It is a best of one after all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move into the big pick ban phase. Tier 2 Korean Dota 2 League. This is the third match overall, third day of broadcasting. And Eye of the Tiger going with a very quick Timbersaw pickup. Certainly first pick, first ban material nowadays. No surprises there. Nyx Assassin, very popular recently as well, so not a huge surprise for FW to ban him out. And surprisingly, Nature's Prophet, second ban. It looks like they don't want any type of push strategies to kind of affect what they have as far as their strategies go. And Eye of the Tiger, they've decided to get rid of the Visage and Invoker. Invoker, another hero that looks like he's being valued very highly. And the Korean scene, Visage, pretty easy ban as well. Certainly one of the best supports in the game, especially when coupled up with a support with a natural stun. And FW picking up the Slark as their first guy. Here's Chrissy from Eye of the Tiger. His slogan, "Don't call me Timber." All right, I won't do that again, Timber. And the second grab for FW for the Dream. It's going to be Doom. And I like the Doom pick because he kind of counters Timbersaw with his ultimate. Also kind of a soft counter pick to help the Slark. Timbersaw, though, a good hero against Slark, despite him being able to be permanently invisible in his ultimate to everything. Timbersaw, his AoE damage, can still pick off the Slark if he's low on health. And the second pick for Eye of Tiger, Crystal Maiden. Just overall solid support. Sanka saying, "Please, don't kill me." And this is really cool. FW, they're actually all gathered up around one of the players' booths. So it looks like a lot of the picking and banning, they really do as a single unit, as a team. The next round of bans going to be Lifestealer, Outworld Devourer. For the Dream, making sure that Doom has a decent mid lane. It does seem like they do want to put him in the mid. They still can certainly jungle him or kind of rotate him around over time. Eye of the Tiger, they've decided to get rid of a pair of supports with the Venomancer and Bane. Cast, I am not a human. Then what are you? He's a Dota machine. All he does is play Dota. And that is really cool how FW does their picking as a team. Rena, come here, baby. Looks like he wants to meet some Korean women. So as far as For the Dream goes, oh, okay. So the Storm Spirit being picked for the Dream. That means this Doom most likely going to end up in the jungle. Storm Spirit, pretty much a dedicated mid hero. He can go into the safe lane. It's not something that we see too often. Okay, I go mid, says Jo. He is the mid player for Eye of the Tiger. Also, most likely their strongest player, formerly of Evil Geniuses. And for the Dream, as far as their lineup's concerned, the Rubik and most likely one more support will be grabbed by them. I'm curious to see if this Slark's going to be played in the position 1 role, or if they're going to stick him into the off lane. It would give a lot of late game power for FW, considering they have the Doom and Storm Spirit as well. And Eye of the Tiger grabbing the Kunkka and the Chen. I guess Prince, for the Dream, we are the winner. I'm assuming he had something to do with the team name, FW. Pyong, game is hard. Classic Dota 2 phrase. And the final bans for both teams, it's the Luna for the Dream, and the Sand King for Eye of Tiger. Eye of Tiger, they do need a carry to complete their lineup, and of course, the support for the Dream. Since the name is For the Dream, it's kind of hard to say for the Dream. I guess automatically just in there, or we'll stick to FW. I think we've already seen that slogan from someone else scoundrel on your team. His last name is Chenglong, so maybe, well, we won't see him on the Chen. Eye of the Tiger picked up Chen. 20 seconds rounding off the clock on the last pick for the Dream. And the Enchantress will be the last pick. Okay, so with the Enchantress pick, oh, and Faceless Void completing Eye of the Tiger's lineup. Taking a page out of Speed Gaming's book. I am really excited to see this hero in competitive play. That Chronosphere, if you can get off a good one, so deadly, so game-changing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the picks and the bans have been completed. Looks like we are loading into the match. So get ready. In just a few moments, we will move into the first game of the day for the KDL Eye of the Tiger Gaming Hammer against FW. Let's get into the match. As we start the match, spawning in the Radiant end, we do have Eye of the Tiger, and their opposition will be FW and the Dire Camp. This is a Tier 2 match, best of 1. If you've tuned in looking for Zephyr, fear not. They will be playing after this game. And it looks like members from both ends moving towards the bottom lane in the river. Void's got to be somewhat careful. Doesn't want to get caught out. He hasn't skilled up any of his abilities as well, something to note. So he can pick something up for the situation that he wants to be in. And just a little bit of warding for FW. Oh, interesting. So it looks like FW's doing a dual lane, potentially, with the Rubik and Doom in the bot. And Storm is just soloing top lane against the Timbersaw. Enchantress will probably be doing jungling, a little bit of assistance roaming, and Slark middle. So FW with a really cool laning phase. That's as far as Eye of the Tiger. Certainly a little bit more standard with Timbersaw in the off lane, putting Kunkka in the middle. And as far as bottom goes, Faceless Void being assisted and supported by the Crystal Maiden with Chen in the jungle. And I'm sure he'll pop his head around occasionally. The Doom Rubric will essentially make this a pretty even lane between both ends. I'd actually give FW a little bit of an edge. Doom can be more effective than Faceless Void early on, and already Prince going to town on Jo, who's not in the mid lane despite what he said. Did decide to go to the safe lane. Oh, and Arena already with the smoke underway. Gets the net, and there's the pounce follow-up. Will he be able to survive? No, first blood on the Kunkka. Very well played from FW. That's certainly going to give them a boost of confidence as well. Because when I talked to them earlier on, they kind of just said, we're just coming in here for fun. The other team, they have a lot of very strong players, more experienced. So Eye of the Tiger, even though their lineup seems a little bit greedy, not going for a traditional tri-lane to give the Faceless Void the farm he needs to be successful. Doom a lot easier to play catch-up due to his Devour ability, which gives him a lot of extra gold. But FW, they also have Storm Spirit in the top lane, who's going to be able to get a good amount of farm against the Timbersaw. So overall, I do like FW's lane situation compared to Eye of the Tiger. And even late game FW, they do have a lot of carry potential with the Slark, Doom, and Storm Spirit. Enchantress as well can dish out a lot of DPS with the proper farm. Eye of the Tiger, though, if they get that Faceless Void online, they're just going to have an insane amount of DPS when you throw in the Kunkka and the Timbersaw. And as far as last hits go, you see Slark and Storm Spirit pretty much tied up. Everyone's decently even across the board for the time being. Besides the supports, of course. Kunkka, though, the one that's really suffering the most. Only 4 last hits, and did give up the first blood, which is certainly one of the reasons why his farm's suffering. And like this, looks like Eye of the Tiger is doing a little bit of creep stacking, getting that extra farm in. Faceless Void and Doom for the time being are still relatively even. And it's a carry and support versus a carry and support dual lane. And Enchantress moving towards the top. Will we see another smoke gank? Storm Spirit does have some lockdown. It's early enough in the game where Timbersaw, okay, in comes the electric zap. They managed to get the net as well, but there's just not enough DPS to take out this Timbersaw. No mana for the Storm Spirit. That unfortunately just... That gank was quite unsuccessful. Storm Spirit needed some more mana if you wanted to make that happen, or maybe if Enchantress waited and grabbed the double damage rune. Could have been a little bit more successful, but in the bottom lane, Doom's in a bit of trouble. Crystal Maiden getting lifted. Jeho in pursuit of Prince. Can he make the jukes happen? No! We do see Chen come in, nuke him down to death. So Eye of the Tiger evening up the game 1-1, 4.5 minutes into the game. This is also going to further JO's lead in the last hit department. But Doom has respawned, already teleported back to the bottom lane, instantly devouring a creep. And I'm sure the Slark is happy as well. Once you get that level 6, you pretty much can't be forced out of a lane. Too much passive regeneration from that ultimate. And Enchantress helping out Storm a little bit in the top lane. Just making sure Timbersaw can't have too much fun. Nice torrent, hits Slark. That's with that Shadow Dance, nothing to really be concerned about. He also has decided to pick up a bottle. Fairly common for a Slark in the mid lane. But beyond that, and a pair of boots, nothing else. So yeah, the mid lane has not worked out too well for Kunkka. They're just kind of forced to do a little bit of farming in his side of the jungle, but you know, for mid-Radiant players, it's a lot easier to accomplish than on the Dire end. The camp is much closer, so you can move in and out of that lane when needed. I have the Tiger. I think they ping, they know there's a ward there. Chen's forced to back away for the time being. No ganking attempts. And invisibility rune spawning in the bottom end of the river. Is Chen going to go ahead and pick that up? Would be good for them to deny the Slark the rune. And Crystal Maiden looks like she's going to go ahead and pick that up. This could be a good setup for Eye of Tiger. FW does not have rune vision. Oh, and in comes the Chronosphere. They're going ahead on Scoundrel, but the Crystal Maiden getting stuck in the ultimate. Prince could end up being next. He's low on health. Are we going to see a slow? Unfortunately not. It is on cooldown. If Pyong didn't get stuck in that ultimate, I think we could have seen a dead Doom. That would have been a few extra hits on the Doom to take him down. Despite the first blood for FW, Eye of the Tiger are executing their ganks pretty effectively in the bottom lane. Slark, though, moving to top. Timbersaw is level 7. He has that mobility. And I think, was he spotted? I don't think so. In comes Storm Spirit. The pounce follow up. And Chrissy, extremely low on health. He's able to chain out of there. Good amount of damage being dished onto these carries. And is it enough to kill off the Slark? Unfortunately not. And down he goes. FW keeping this game fairly even. And with Shadow Dance, Slark's going to be able to just regenerate up extremely fast, move back to that mid lane, and continue the farm. Kunkka almost has his phase boots. He has a bottle as well, of course. At 23 last hits, 7.5 minutes or so into the game. Not the best position you want to be for the mid. So you can see a nice shot of the Nexon crowd, even a few foreigners around as well. And once again, if you are living in Korea and you're a foreigner, more than free to come down to the Nexon studio and watch the games. It's in Gangnam, near Gangnam Station. Just walk straight out of exit 11. And the entrance is free. No fee on the entry. So if you're around and want to watch the games, feel free to come by. Everyone's really friendly, all the players as well. Very easy to talk to them. Looks like Faceless Void's going for a pretty fast Mask of Madness. And he has gotten the most last hits in the game. So the lane, despite not looking amazing for him early on, the ganks have been fairly good. And he's forced Prince kind of to not be in the best position, as he only has 29 last hits. So Faceless ahead in the farm. And Chen and Storm Spirit neck and neck at 33 last hits each, with Slark not too behind himself. And of course the kill or an assist under his belt. Okay, Eye of the Tiger getting ready to execute another gank. And in comes Faceless Void Ultimate, hitting Scoundrel. With the rest of Eye of the Tiger right behind, lift onto Jo. It won't be enough though, and Sunks comes in as well, forcing the hand of God, but it's not enough. And that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Chen falls as well as the Rubik, so support for support. Young though, he's not looking too good. Slark in hot pursuit, trying to do a little bit of a slow, but the pounce will confirm the kill. FW for the win. They're holding their own for the time being. Oh, and the Doom hits Jo as well. That was a very aggressive jump onto the tower. Timbersaw joining as well. Oh, he misses the chain though as well as the Chakram. And Storm Spirit's going to move in as well. Can he manage to get the grab? Timber chain away. So he will survive. Kunkka decided to move in as well. That's a lot of aggression coming from Chrissy, and that may spell his doom. But oh, very nice. Ship connects with the Rubik. He falls. So Rubik not been having an amazing game. That's 2 deaths back to back. Looks like Reno wants to push the tier 1 tower at the top.
다이어의 하부 포탑이 공격받고 있습니다. 레디언트의 상부 포탑이 공격받고 있습니다.
And Faceless Void should have his Mask of Madness fairly soon. Up to 54 last hits, so not too bad at this stage in the game. Decent farm. And he has not had an uninterrupted lane the farm too, so. And there we go, there's the Mask of Madness for the Faceless Void. Enchantress picking up a smoke. This Slark's been having an amazing game. Already 3 kills under his belt. Okay farm. Not the best, but the kills certainly make up for it. I'm curious to see what Slark will move into item-wise. Most likely Mjolnir follow-up behind that Mask of Madness for Jo, handling the Faceless Void. This Chen's been quite active as well. I really do like that he's part of a lot of these ganks. Oh, Jeho moving towards the top. There are 3 members of FW in the top lane, almost just waiting for the gank. So both sides want to be very aggressive. Kunkka back in the mid. Slark is spotted. Oh, if the Faceless Void can get his ultimate on him, that would be really good. Uh-oh, Chrissy in a lot of trouble as Merlini goes ahead and initiates on him. Tries the Timber Chain away, but in the wrong direction. Man, he is tanky, but simply not tanky enough. Down he goes. FW. They're doing good. 6-4, 12 minutes into the match. But the mid tower most likely will end up falling, especially with Faceless Void joining the fight. That's 4 members of Eye of the Tiger in the mid lane. Are they going to try to save it? Oh, they're going on it. The tower does end up falling, and Sangsak is in a lot of trouble. He's going to end up being picked off. Jo gets doomed as well. Crystal Maiden did fall throughout the chaos. And a little bit of support from the Enchantress moving in. So all said and done, FW were unable to save the middle tower. Do trade kill for kill, but I mean, Crystal Maiden for the Slark, not the best of trades. Slark still, he is level 11 and ahead by far as experience is concerned. Timbersaw, despite a few deaths, still has a ridiculous amount of last hits, up to 55. Faceless Void, though, still topping the charts. Experience very even on both ends. And it looks like Doom's decided to pick up Mana Boots. Working into a mechanism. He will be the mech holder for his team. Enchantress definitely another viable mech holder. And I would assume she's going to be getting a little bit more damage-orientated items this match. And Chen already has the mechanism finished up on his end. Kunkka purchasing his Shadow Blade. So starting to catch up in farm. He does have 60 last hits. Wasn't doing that amazing earlier on. Oh, Rior. He's just waiting, but FW, they have a smoke gank of their own. They're moving in onto the Storm Spirit. He manages to stay alive, and Slark gets the pounce on the Crystal Maiden, but he is extremely low, forced to use his ultimate. Hand of God coming out from Eye of the Tiger, as well. Scoundrel does fall to the Timber Saw. So that's a 2-0 trade. Can they get a third member? The Slark kill, that would be huge for Eye of the Tiger. And Jo using his ultimate as well. That's going to be a kill on the Slark. All said and done, 3-0. Eye of the Tiger, despite a little bit rocky and less than favorable early game, they have more than made up for it, and I would say certainly have the advantage at this point, but still anyone's match. And they're going to go ahead and most likely take the top tower, securing the second tower for their team following the mid. With FW, they haven't taken a single tier 1 tower yet. And despite having the Enchantress on their team, it seemed like they did have some opportunity early on to grab the top tower. And down it goes. Rior securing that last hit, extra gold. And Faceless Void. And all of Eye of the Tiger. 3 of their members are in the top last hits for creeps. So it's not looking too amazing for FW. Their farm is starting to suffer. Slark's now suffered 2 deaths. You know, they had the right idea with the gank earlier on in that engagement, but just too much of Eye of the Tiger was there. And that Timber Saw really doing work. He is so tanky. If you're going to initiate on him, you really have to just pull out all the stops to take him out before he can get off some of his spells and Timber Chain away.
레디언트의 하부 포탑이 공격받고 있습니다.
So Jo has a lot of money saved up, over 3,000. So he's going to be purchasing a big item relatively soon. And wow, he is 4-0, 2 assists. This is pretty much the worst nightmare you can face when it comes to a hard carry like Faceless Void. As we, a little bit of a lull in the action. For those of you recently tuning in, my name is Whiplash Casting in the Nexon Arena studio. This is the KDL Korean Dota 2 League. This is Eye of the Tiger Hammer versus FW, a best of 1 tier 2 match. And following this, we will have Zephyr versus MVP Phoenix, a best of 3. But for now, we have some puny action versus Chinese, as FW are actually an entire Chinese team of students simply practicing in Korea, playing in their free time. This top tower. Nice Tidebringer from Kunkka, instantly picking off those creeps. And Eye of the Tiger have actually been able to preserve this tower in the top lane pretty efficiently. And that just means FW is going to fall behind in gold as the game progresses. Faceless Void's farm really starting to, get out of control. And they do have a 54% advantage in gold over FW. And that stack creep camp has Faceless Void's, or I suppose, Kunkka's name all over it. Whoever wants to do the farm, probably going to be Rior. Ooh, interesting. Faceless Void decide to pick up a Battle Fury. Normally that's an item you'd go for first before the Mask of Madness, but really, the farm has just been excellent for Faceless Void, so why not? Eye of the Tiger, they are smoked up. Looking for a potential gank in the forest or moving towards the Storm Spirit. They can use X marks the spot to kind of keep Storm Spirit away. Uh-oh, and the baby Roshan Courier It's spotted. This could be really bad. Those are very important items for FW. They do not want to lose the courier. Uh-oh, Merlini a little bit out of position. The stuns hit, they're good, but oh man, he's got to get out of there. He is just caught. No escape. Excellent execution from Eye of the Tiger. This could even be a tier 2 if Eye of the Tiger wants to continue pushing the top lane. The rest of FW, they're kind of just chilling in the bottom, and they're most likely going to trade a tier 1 for tier 2 tower. Not the best trade, but can they come back and defend this one? Faceless, he did not use his ultimate when they picked up the Storm Spirit, and I do believe FW realized that the best they can do is trade a tower for tower, and indeed they do. And Chen, Ultra Support Mode, picking up the Vladimir's offering, giving additional lifesteal to Eye of the Tiger. Will help out the Kunkka a lot, and a little bit of extra lifesteal for the Faceless Void, I suppose. And Doom, he has the mech, and this is Mana Boots, and saved up a decent amount of gold. So we'll wait to see what his next item is going to be. Storm Spirit finally grabbing his Orchid. That's going to add a lot of silence utility in these team fights if he can manage to get the Timber Saw, or get anyone really. It'd be a big help. I have the Tiger. They're pinging at Roshan. They're thinking about it. FW, this could be their chance if Eye of the Tiger decides to move in at the Roshan. Oh, but onto the illusion. Sorry, FW, no dice. And Chrissy's also managed to pick up his Bloodstone. Rior is moving into a Chrysalis, eventual Daedalus. And yeah, this stack's going to JO. He is just going to have an absurd amount of farm the longer this game goes on. And a very big concern for FW. I think it's going to come down to, can they get a Doom on the Faceless Void? Forget the Timber Saw. Forget the Kunkka. Just this Faceless Void, he's the one that's going to cause the most pain for FW in the team fight. And a second tier tower looking to be the next target for Eye of the Tiger. A lot of clearing power for Eye of the Tiger. Time Walk manages to get stolen from the Rubik. Uh-oh. Oh, that's very bad. Easy death. That is just very unfortunate, but FW, they're still trying to move in. They do decide to doom the Timber Saw. JO's at about, a quarter or 3/4 of his health, but that's a lot of regeneration. He'll survive for the time being. A nice DPS on Prince. He still is pretty tanky, has the mechanism available to use. This is not a fight that FW necessarily wants. They're down the Slark. They don't have to worry about the Faceless Void Chronosphere. Okay, in comes JO. They're deciding to try the good move in on Prince. In comes the ship. Hits Chrissy. And it's looking good, but uh-oh, Storm Spirit in a lot of trouble. He manages the zip out of there. Pretty much wasted Crystal Maiden all. Man, Chrissy, he is diving. They have managed to pick off Doom, but Slark, he's back in the picture for the time being, getting a little bit low on health, forced to use his Shadow Dance. Uh-oh. Gets healed up a little bit. Manages to survive. Eye of the Tiger, their frontliners are so tanky. The Timber Saw, backtrack from the Faceless Void. The Kunkka, naturally a somewhat tanky hero. It's just really hard for FW to really pick off one of these heroes. And they do have some tankiness with the Doom. Slark able to move in and out, same as the Storm Spirit. They do have a good amount of healing with the Enchantress. But at the end of the day, Eye of the Tiger, they're simply the beefier team. In Black King Bar, the next purchase for the Faceless Void. We've seen JO be extremely aggressive throughout this match. So certainly an item that's good for him to pick up. And I'm sure we'll see a big damage item following that Black King bar. FW, they are smoked up. The Chen could be the next target. Doom is available. In comes Storm Spirit, but really fast blink, and now in comes the Ghost Ship. Manages to hit a lot of them, and holy crap, the DPS coming out from Eye of the Tiger is amazing. Chronosphere following up. After that, Prince, he's going to end up falling. Enchantress already dead. The gym on the ground. Scoundrel trying to retreat, and this is just not a team fight that's going well for FW. Down Scoundrel goes. Chrissy confirming the kill. And that's a team wipe. Eye of the Tiger, they got caught a little bit out of position, but it didn't really matter at the end of the day. FW, it's just not looking good. They're now behind 8 kills. Eye of the Tiger doubling 16-8, and it's only 24 minutes into the match. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Eye of the Tiger start to eye those barracks and try to destroy them. Now forcing out a fortification will scare away Jo and Chrissy for the time being. I feel with the way things are going, Eye of the Tiger, it's going to be pretty hard for them to lose at this point. Easy pickings. That last team fight just really showing that FW, they're going to have a harder and harder time as the late game comes about. Roshan's still available. I think Eye of the Tiger, they could go for the Roshan kill, maybe push that last tier 2 tower, and then move in for the barracks. They're certainly not afraid of team fighting now. All of their ultimates are available. Invisibility being picked up by Rior. Maybe he can manage to get a good gank. Uh-oh, X marks the spot, manages the hit. Scoundrel hit by the boat. It is not Rubik's Day. I have seen him die way too many times. And the Roshan will follow up with the pickoff. Thanks to Rior. Easy Roshan. FW, there's nothing they can do to contest this. Even Timbersaw throwing in his blade from the high ground. And Timber training to the other side of the map. Kunkka picks up his Daedalus. And I think it's time for Eye of the Tiger. And they move. Picking up a few creeps. The last tier 2 tower will fall. FW, the most they can hope for is a fight on the high ground. And actually, FW, they aren't even in position. They need to defend the tier 3. They can't simply let it go for free, or this game's already in the bag for Eye of the Tiger. No fortification available. They're waiting on Storm Spirit to join the fight. X marks the spot, hits the Doom. In comes the Blink as well. Prince already down to half health. Jo uses his ultimate. Only hits Rina though, but she will end up falling. The Black King bar, making sure nothing bad can happen. And there's a follow-up. Chronosphere steal from Scoundrel. He's going to pay for it with his life. Jo saying, you cannot steal my Chronosphere. Ultimate following with the Crystal Maiden. Slark, he's going to town, doing the best he can to DPS this Crystal Maiden, but it's not enough. And that Doom doesn't even matter. That's a team wipe, and ladies and gentlemen, that will be a good game. So nice attempt from FW. Early on, they did have some good kills. They even scored the first blood. But when all is said and done, Eye of the Tiger simply better ganks, better team composition later on, and they will secure themselves this victory. Oh, poor Rubik. Oh, wow. Actually steals the time walk and makes it out alive. Enchantress will not be so lucky. But FW, now they gave it a good try. They were doing good early on, but it's simply not enough. Eye of the Tiger showing their experience and skill and securing themselves a pretty easy victory. Jo using another ultimate. Merlinian Prince will end up falling, and A follow-up Chronosphere from Scoundrel. With the liftoff as well, but Timbersaw, he has the Shiva's guard. And he's dead once again. Kunkka faces Void, building the Dagon 5 before finishing the game. The GG from For the Win. Once again, a good attempt from them, but it's not enough. The Chinese students end up falling to the Filipino team, Eye of the Tiger Hammer. So exciting match, a lot of ganks and smokes early on. But unfortunately for FW, as the game trudged on, Eye of the Tiger simply showed their superior skills, ganking, maneuverability. Everything they did was better. They managed to find more farm later on.